We're at OHD in Columbus, Ohio. I'm here with Casey. He is the technician for the Bolt CINEBOT. He's going to walk us through it, how to use it, why to use it, and how cool it is.
So I'm Casey Hunter. I am one of the robot operators as well as a first AC and several other roles here at OHD Studios.
Still there. Position 1.
So this is a 3-point move that I built in a couple minutes while these guys were setting up cameras, and I can run that like this.
Awesome.
All right. And shooting fast in 3, 2, 1, go.
So cool. We'll just assume that whoever's watching this is a brand new in the cinema world. So can you explain what motion control is?
Sure. So motion control is, it's kind of self-explanatory. It's the motion of the camera or other objects controlled. And when you have that perfectly controlled with, precision motors and a precision rig, then it opens up a whole bunch of possibilities. So one, you have the repeatability that you can just do that same move every time. It also opens up a lot of possibilities in terms of compositing. So you can run what we'd call many different plates. So you'd have your background plate or your clean plate that, in case you need to paint out wires or something else that's in the way. There's multiple runs of the same move, some with different foreground elements that they're able to layer in, all those different plates. But since every frame is the same and is in time the same, you can put all those pieces together and add motion to a composited shot pretty easily. So primary parts of the robot, this one does run on track. A lot of people think of that just like you're dollying. So track is very helpful for many things other than just moving it left and right. Up there, we've got our rotate axis, then our lift, then we call it arm. That entire arm then, here we go, pans. And you'll notice that doesn't exactly pan the camera in this mount. That's just a name that we have for it. Tilt and roll. And essentially every one of these axes has to work together in order to put the camera in the position that you want it and in the orientation that you want it. And then there's a big fancy word for that called kinematics.
So I noticed that you have a follow focus on here and it's run to the robot. Does the robot have a way to focus?
Absolutely. So, while we have all of our, positioning, axes, from, kind of track on out, to the camera, we also have, a couple of these boxes. This one's attached to the arm where we can control a bunch of different motors. So we have all these, extra axes that we can do. So I can run full focus iris zoom. I've had a syringe with a stepper motor, rigged to camera that would basically eject ranch dressing. And so we could program 10 milliliters of ranch dressing between these two frames and it would just, do that.
So it's not working on like a contrast-based autofocus. You're programming how much the motor turns at each point.
Correct. So generally, we usually do it in a couple ways. We usually do our move building pass, or just doing that pass to get the move to look right, and then we'll do a focus pass to make sure that everything is solid throughout. We will actually map the lens and the focus marks, in the system, so that we can look at an object, focus up, and if I focus up on the object at 4 feet away, I can switch into a mode that leaves that target in space. I can push in on that and it will pull focus for me to where I had set that target with focus back here. And so you can keep it more or less in focus. You're usually a little bit off doing it that method. When you need to be really precise, we'll actually break out a tape measure and set it that way. So most of the time, if I'm controlling the robot, I'm generally going to be sat at this control station, and most of my operating is generally done with a 3-button mouse and this interface. Essentially, you can think of the robot as a sort of a puppet, and the software here are the strings that I can use to maneuver it around and program it.
Okay.
But yeah, most of the time it's going to be going out usually with 2 operators.
Yeah.
One person usually operates as the primary, so the person at the desk. The second person usually sits with what we call the handheld box, which is also an e-stop, and ends up being more of a safety engineer. So the robot is very fast, it is quite heavy, and it can hurt you if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and the operator doesn't know that you're there. Yeah, you need someone who knows the system in order to be able to run it.
Man, I get frustrated when I have to rig a pterodactyl on a follow filter. I can't even imagine, yeah.
No, that's the but learning the Flare software and the concepts of operating this is complicated enough, but there's also power. You have to be a little bit of an electrical engineer. You have to have a kind of varied knowledge base in order to troubleshoot problems when, if you have a bad cable or just something's acting up, you need to be able to trace that back. But yeah, just to power this, it's we had to build a transformer box and I had to wire a bunch of stuff together. And if you don't understand, power, if you don't understand signal flow, if you don't understand networking, ends up being a big one. All those things are just kind of the base, that supports everything around the robot. And so it very much helps to have a varied background, and just a technical mind helps a lot.
Casey, I wanted to say thank you for showing us the robot, showing us what you do, telling us a little bit about technology that we normally wouldn't interface with. I also want to say thanks to OHD for being so hospitable and opening the doors for us. And if you want to get a hold of Casey, he'll let you know how to do that.
If there's anything you need regarding shooting or video production, feel free to reach out to OHD Studios.